Tonight, the Red Sox take game one of the series against the Tigers in a game where they finally came from behind, survived a rain delay, and almost blew, but didn't blow, a dominant Payton Tolle start. Tonight, I'm joined by James and Will to break down everything from the win. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Doing great. The Tolle was terrific. That was so awesome to watch. The fastball and the curveball were both playing, and Jarren Duran continues on his heater. 3 homers in the last 4 games now. The first opposite field homer since April 1st. Crazy that we're saying that, but just, I thought we were doomed when it started pouring and the Tigers scored 2 runs, but nice to get back in the win column this evening.
I took the weekend off from watching the Red Sox, and what a great game to come back to. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. We start off with Roman getting hurt, and then then Duran with the 3-run homer. Awesome. There's a lot to dive into in today's game, but can the Red Sox just give us one clean win game without injuring someone or without making it close at the end or a nail biter and needing Chapman to perform at his best? Please. But yeah, a lot to dive into tonight. I'll take the dub anytime.
I thought we were going to get an analogy about taking the weekend off and then somehow that tying into tonight.
I barely made the show tonight, so I didn't have time for the analogy. Wait for tomorrow, all right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, guys. The Red Sox finally win the opener, but at what cost? There was some very good positives, Jarren Duran and Payton Tolle, what you guys just mentioned, but Roman Anthony, it looks like we're going to lose him for at least most of today's game, and, he's 21 years old, and he's had a lot of injury issues, at least so far in his young career. How do you guys feel about what happened today? He stayed in the game after a very awkward swing. First off, I want to talk about how it was a 1-0 count, and he took this very awkward check swing on a pitch right down the middle. Why can't he swing and try to drive that ball out of the ballpark? That's the first thing I noticed. Next thing is he got hurt. The trainer, the manager were out of the dugout almost instantly, looking at a bone in his hand or some sort of muscle in his hand. We don't know exactly what happened, but right now it's right wrist discomfort. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? I know it's just another injury for Roman Anthony so far in his young career.
It really seems like he can't get out of his own way. I look back at his injury history, and besides maybe, one game off here or there, this is a check swing, wrist injury, wrist discomfort, and then the last injury obviously being his oblique. They're almost like self-caused just from being too strong and kind of making not the smartest decisions, right? A check swing, like Nick was alluding to, on that kind of count, not needed, but it's not like he's running into walls or sliding when he doesn't need to and, jumping backwards and causing himself injury. These are injuries that are almost like, I look at him, I'm like, you're 22 and you're in like decent shape. This should not be happening. But are we alarmed?
I'm not alarmed. I'm not worried. I do think part of it is they're looking at it right now. They're 14 and 21. They're looking at the state of the team. They'd rather be safe than sorry with their $130 million man. Like the oblique thing last year, that was something else. That was a legit injury. These, the back tightness, the wrist now, I think they're looking at it and like, they'd rather be safe than sorry given the state of the team, how early it is into the contract, and just wanting to make sure that, I'm an optimist. I'm going to take the glass half full route. And I just think tonight, like he stayed into the game after he didn't exit immediately. So that was kind of my take on it, that they wanted to just be precautionary just in case. It's not like it's September 25th and they're fighting for a playoff spot or, the middle of August after a trade deadline acquisition, they're in a pennant race. They're not anywhere close to that. No reason in game 35 to take any risks.
I guess a point I wanted to make is I think we're going to see Jarren Duran in left field at least for the next week or so with this going on. Because if he does have to come out of the game, they don't want to put Masataka Yoshida out there. That was the first thing that kind of popped in my mind was if Roman had to come out of this game, Yoshida is your guy off the bench in the outfield because you're not going to lose the DH in the first inning. And that's exactly what happened. It really didn't come back to hurt them. But in a tight fought series like this, especially when I'm thinking this is going to be a low scoring series, good pitching for the Tigers, a bad offense for the Red Sox, you're going to need the best defense possible. So you can't really afford to put Roman Anthony in the outfield in the starting lineup for the next few days if this is going to be a lingering thing.
And defense is the only thing they've been good at this year. So, number one in DRS in baseball. I know they're top 3 in outs above average as well. So if that's how they're going to be able to win games, then yeah, they've got to prioritize putting their best defense out there going forward.
And thankfully, Duran is swinging probably the hottest bat that we've seen him swing in a long time. I'm fine with seeing Roman take his time needed for him to come back 100%. And again, whether that is a IL stint, let's hope not, knock on wood, or just a few days off, we'll see. But yeah, more than happy seeing Duran in left field.
And also tomorrow helps with Framber going. It's a lefty. Maybe it was going to be an off day for him or somebody else anyway. So maybe it's a natural way to get him out of the lineup against one of the better lefties in all of Major League Baseball. Obviously, I don't think we want IKF or Monasterio in there instead of Roman, but it's kind of a way to avoid a tough matchup. Maybe he's available off the bench later in the game once Valdez exits the game in a pinch hit opportunity.
Speaking of Jarren Duran and heating up a little bit, he's 7 for his last 17.
Yep.
That's over his last 4 games, 3 home runs. He's at 7 RBIs in those last 4 games. So he's really starting to heat up. And this is a guy that's going to go on a heater. And if you can get Roman and Jarren Duran hot at the same time, which it kind of looked like it was going to happen pretty soon, and another setback by Roman Anthony. So you can't have 2 of these star players going at the same time. You're never going to turn this offense around. So this team's going to need Roman to stay on the field and finally get going, because it looks like Jarren's starting to break out of it.
It's a bummer too. Roman was kind of, I was seeing a lot more improvement from him in terms of that Houston series, a lot higher exit velo. He's kind of elevating that ball, that wall ball double too. It's a bummer to see him go down at this point. But again, at this point, I don't want to take any risks. We're not World Series bound as of right now. Don't risk it. Don't push him. It's still May.
Yeah, and Duran's one of the hottest hitters in baseball. First opposite field homer, like I mentioned at the top, since April 1st when Roman had that pinch hit homer off of Abreu, I think it was, in Houston. But Jarren swinging a hot bat. 4 of the 7 RBIs this weekend came from Duran against Houston, and he keeps that going tonight in a spot where they really needed it. Down 2-0 after it started pouring rain, and if the Red Sox don't score there, the umpires might just bang it when the tarp comes out. After the bottom of the 7th. It was an opportunity where the umpire, it was up to the umpire's discretion, and that's probably a chance where you let the home team score, and it's like, all right, if the Red Sox don't score here, we're just going to bang it and not even give them a suspended game tomorrow. Just call it, and that's that. And it would have been completely fair. It would have been unfortunate, but glad to see Duran come through. And he's, we've talked about on this show, he needs to, if he's going to get better, he needs to play every day. It doesn't do him any good sitting twice a week, because he needs to play every. And I think we're starting to reap the fruits, the fruits of his labor in terms of playing every day, getting more reps, getting more at bats, and he's swinging a hot bat, and very happy for him. And I think it really helps him being back in the leadoff spot too. I think that's just such a calming presence for the team, and it's just peace of mind for him. It's what he's been doing his whole career with the Sox, and I think he just naturally fits in there, and I think that's really helping as well.
He's batting over 200 for the first time this season. He's 3rd on the team in home runs. This is just a bad offensive team, but the numbers are starting to get there finally. I'm not really worried about him going forward. I think he's going to go on have a nice month of May. Go on a little bit of a run here. I'm not saying the offense is going to click altogether because just they're not talented enough. But usually when Jarren Duran goes, the team goes, at least in the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah. He's the straw that stirs the drink, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You look back at 24, and even last year when they hit their stride after the winning streak, like he was providing a lot of pop. That's kind of why he got moved down to the 3 spot in the order. So if they're going to continue to try to win ball games, he's going to need to keep doing what he's doing currently.
Of course. You want to get into Payton Tolle next? I think it's one of his best starts of his career. Very efficient, very dominant. I know what was it, like 4 1/3, 4 2/3 perfect innings. So it was a very impressive start tonight. Dave O'Brien wanted to jinx it as much as possible. He kept saying perfect game and 15 different other sayings, like he hasn't allowed a base runner. He's doing something special. Like, he's jinxing it in different ways without saying it, obviously. But Payton Tolle was great tonight. I'd like to see your thoughts or hear your thoughts on that, guys.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing quickly on Duran before I get into Tolle. His OPS right now is up to 607. After the Toronto series, it was 481.
He was one of the worst players in baseball. Now
and his B-WAR is now positive.
Still bad, but
no, but getting into Tolle, he was magnificent. Of the 8 strikeouts tonight, 5 were on the fastball, 3 were on the curveball. He had everything working. Middlebrooks was gushing over how well both pitches were working, and he looked a lot more like the guy we saw against the Yankees than what we saw in Toronto last week. He had that extra day in between the start, which I think really helps him. He didn't have that going into the Toronto start. He had everything working, like you said, 4 1/3 or 4 2/3 perfect innings. And if it wasn't for the rain delay, I think we probably see him come back out for the 8th because both those runs were unearned off. Then Narvaez's back pick, and then what was that, Monasterio, who threw that ball into home and it got to the backstop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 2 unearned runs, and he was dynamite tonight.
Yeah. Everything that Will Fleming was saying on the radio, I want to say it hyped me up. It's still Will Fleming, but totally sounded like he was absolute dynamite. That his curveball was on point, and when he's able to mix in, obviously, that fastball that we've seen him dominate with that kind of off speed, the curveball and the changeups and whatnot, it's just that's a recipe for an absolute ace. And we saw that tonight with Tolle. And I think when he came out in the 7th, they did mention that he got the high fives and the handshakes and whatnot. I don't think that rain delay or not would have affected his 8th inning, him going back out.
Sure.
But again, everything that I saw from Tolle tonight, awesome. His velocity is back to where the average was, and a large part, I believe, is due to that extra day off that James you mentioned.
I think Tolle was done no matter what. I think it was going to Whitlock and Chapman, but we do have breaking news, kind of bad news in my opinion. Bad and good news. Chad Tracy says Roman Anthony's X-rays were negative, but he's flying back to Boston tomorrow morning to see a hand specialist. So he will be out for at least this series, it looks like.
If it was a longer road trip, I'd worry about that. But because it's only a 3-game road trip, and if he's going to sit anyway, you might as well just get him back and be safe rather than sorry.
I love the optimism. But that's scary.
It's scary. Sure. You don't send him back to Boston if there's nothing wrong.
Sure. But it's similar to Suarez not making the trip either. Granted, he's a pitcher, but
he's a pitcher. He wasn't scheduled to play. I mean, this is your 21-year-old star that you're paid, and this is another. You've been communicating about him very weirdly the last month or so. Injuries, disciplinary issues, him going out drinking, whatever it is. But you've been not been telling us the truth with this guy lately. You know, like you're trying to protect him. We're not stupid. Like there's something going on with Roman Anthony. I don't know what it is, but is he injury prone? Does he not want to be out there every single day? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I know. I just think right now he's going through one of those stretches that, young guys go through. We've seen Meyer go through it. We've seen other guys go through it where it's just, they get banged up and every little nick is that they're not playing through it. But I think it's more that he wants to be out there. It's just one of those things where I think he wants to make sure, given the state of the team, that he's 100% right and that he's going to go forward the right way in doing it. But getting him back to see the specialist, it's not great, but again, with only the 3-game road trip, hopefully it's just a sign of seeing the specialist and getting him back in the lineup on Thursday against the Rays.
At least Masataka Yoshida gets to get some at bats.
Sure.
I guess the other great thing about Payton Tolle's outing is we don't have to see Brian Bayo start tomorrow. We do have confirmation that it will be Giovanni Moran as the opener, and Brian Bayo will most likely be the bulk guy, but at least they're switching it up. They confirmed that there is an opener. That does make me happy. If you told me 2 or 3 years ago for getting openers, I hated openers. But for Brian Bayo, I'll take anything.
Yeah, gives that flexibility for Bayo. I think we're all in the same boat as to how we feel about Bayo. And again, so far what I've seen from Moran, it's like, great, go out there and ball out. I'm in the same boat. I'm not a big fan of openers, but when it comes to Bayo, it's like that tells you the faith or lack thereof that Chad Tracy and the rest of the Red Sox have in Bayo. It's almost like, do we have to throw him out there? And if we have to, we'll put an opener in front of him. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but not expecting a ton, especially against Valdez.
Yeah, and I know you said like it's some bad news and some good news, and I understand that Bayo will be the bulk guy, but anytime we don't have to see him pitch, I feel like it's probably good news. So like it's obviously he's still going to be pitching in the game, but at least we get Moran for a bit, and not that he's going to necessarily light the world on fire, but it's just less of Bayo.
Do you guys? I was really impressed in that 7th inning where we scored those 5 runs. A couple good swings. Marcelo Meyer had a very good swing against a lefty I was impressed with. Wilyer Abreu had a good swing against a lefty I was impressed with. It was nice to see a big inning, a crooked number finally from this offense. But was there anything that stood out from you that changed in that inning? I don't know. Was it just bad pitching? Because they looked dead all night before that.
I want to say, yes, our bats did their job. A lot of opposite field hitting. Lefty on righty, righty on lefty, just some good hitting on our side. I do want to call out that the Tigers were kind of in a tough spot. They had a bullpen game yesterday. They had to use a lot of their pitchers today with Skubal going on the IL with that surgery. We can get into that if we want to. But again, I don't look at them. That does suck. That sucks for the overall sport, 100%.
Yeah.
And I do hope that Skubal does come back sooner rather than later. But about tonight, it's like eventually their lifeline of pitching was going to run out, and they had to stick with who was it, DeJesus, right?
Yeah, DeJesus after the rain delay. Yep.
Yeah,
they had and Vanasco were horrible, both of them.
Right. And so both of them they had to stick with. You had to save your bullpen. You had a bullpen game yesterday, and then today you knew you were not going to get a Skubal start to kind of reset that bullpen. So it was kind of taking advantage of the Tigers' misfortunes.
If you put up the Tigers bulk guy and Ty Madden against Payton Tolle, they had very similar numbers. Ty Madden had 5 shutout innings, 4 hits, 7 Ks, no walks. He was dominant. He dominated you tonight. Ty Madden's a good pitcher, but he's not a guy that should be shutting down in an opener or a bulk role. Like, you shouldn't be getting shut down in this role. So I'm not super impressed by this offense still. Like, it was nice to see a 5. Like, that's one of the biggest innings you've had all season. Nice to see a 5, but you have 8 other zeros. You need more consistency. I know it's tough to just sit here and kind of talk bad about the offense and a win. The hits are spread out a lot. A lot of players in the lineup got a hit. Monasterio got a hit. Narvaez was one of the only guys that didn't get one. I think it was Narvaez and Contreras were the only 2 that didn't get a hit. Story had a
Narvaez and Contreras.
Yeah, it was Narvaez and Contreras. I had a couple weird swings with Contreras where he looked like he was trying to hit the ball 600 feet. But it's still like they don't have. If you don't hit home runs, you're not going to win that many games. And I know we had the big swing tonight, but Jarren Duran is not your home run hitter. You need these other guys to produce.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Contreras said yesterday, it helps that we're loose now, so maybe the offense will start performing better.
And yet another game too. Yes, we did have 12 hits, and we did the Duran homer. Right, we were down 2-0. When we don't have the lead, or when we're facing a deficit of runs, we suck. So like that alone,
we suck no matter what.
we do suck no matter what. But when we lose a lead, we don't get it back. And
Dude,
so it was great to see
Carabas
that.
in his Gold Bottles tweet tonight said it was our first win of the season when trailing by 2 runs or more at any point in the game.
Yep, and I fully believe that. That is not shocking whatsoever.
Yeah.
But so like that's a bright spot. But we still need to remember tonight, the Red Sox still struck out 11 times. We were 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. It's easy to look at the bright spots, but it's also important to make sure that we're looking at the trends that we've been seeing all season and looking at tonight as no exception too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that, like, scoring 7 runs against Houston, who was one of the worst pitching staffs in the sport. And then tonight, you score 5 runs, but it all comes in 1 inning. And it's like, you kind of got lucky that Skubal didn't go tonight. And obviously I know you touched on it. That's awful, not just for the Tigers, but for the game of baseball and for, this season, how things shake out in the Cy Young race for the Tigers pennant chances. Like, hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can come back for the pennant run in August. We'll see. But it's like, if Skubal goes, you're probably not scoring. Like, that's just the reality of it. And the rain delay, no, they scored before the rain delay, but they kind of got saved by the wacky weather. Like, it was pouring, you couldn't really grip the ball, as we saw in the bottom of the 6th, and then just took advantage, and Duran thankfully saved the day.
You want to talk about the Skubal impact? It's 2 to 3 months. It looks like it's really unfortunate because he's one of my favorite players to watch. So I think it hurts a lot of different things. I think it hurts the Tigers if they do fall out of this race. You can't trade that generational ace because he won't be available at the deadline anymore. It's going to hurt this team that's really built on pitching in a dominant rotation. And you don't have that ace, that leader in their staff. They might lose out in the playoffs by 1 or 2 games because of that. In my mind, I want to see the best players out in the field at all times. And I want to see Tarik Skubal go out there and get paid $500-600 million. I don't think it'll get that high. Obviously not anymore. But he was on pace to get one of the biggest contracts in baseball history. And it's even more impressive that he's a left-handed pitcher. It just hurts baseball.
I wonder now if this opens up the can of worms, and obviously people are going to be having this discussion not only the rest of the season but all off season. So we don't have to bang this drum tonight if we don't want to, but I wonder if this now opens up the conversation more. Does a team like the Mets or the Dodgers or, the Yankees, somebody in that realm, for Skubal, obviously there's going to be a higher risk now associated with a long-term deal. Does he take a Kyle Tucker type deal, like a 4-year, $250 million contract, higher AAV, obviously not the long-term 8-year, $450 million deal that he probably anticipated after this season, coming off likely a third straight Cy Young if he kept going the way he was going. But does he take like a 4-year, $250 million deal with an opt-out after each year, or an opt-out after years 2 and 3 before the 4th year? Like, I don't know. You can kind of go down different avenues now. Does he take like a 1-year, $60 million deal and just say, screw it, I'm going to go prove it again? Probably not, because the risk is too high if he gets hurt again. But it's like, will a team still pony up that 7-8 year deal for $400+ million, or is he going to take a 3 or 4 year deal at an incredibly high AAV, go out there, try to shove, win another World Series in LA, and then see where it goes from there? Like, I do think that is interesting, and obviously it's tough to see. Nobody wanted to see this, but maybe we'll look back in 5 years and he takes a shorter AAV deal, higher AAV deal, opts out of it, and then gets his long-term deal. I don't know, but it is tough, because I think a lot of guys like Skeens, he's still a few years away, but the Skeens of the world were probably waiting to either get extended or have their market set by what Skubal got. And now this is kind of going to be a wrinkle in the equation for every big-time pitcher hitting the market going forward, because he was going to set the market for everyone this offseason. Like, Skubal is a class above. Skubal and Skeens are a class above everyone else, and it's like, if he's not going to set the market at his full price, who is going to set the market at that, high water benchmark?
To answer the question about like the contract length and that kind of thing, we don't really know unless we have the new CBA and anything. But there's a world in my mind that I could see like not the Tigers, the Dodgers giving them like 1 year, $75 million,
right?
Like insane amount of money before the CBA. Like
sure.
Before the new thing is agreed on. Here's 1 year, $75 million. If you get hurt, you get hurt. We'll do this again. But I don't know what he does, like Tarek Skubal does, until he knows, like, does he take this 1 year deal and then he's screwed because of the new collective bargaining agreement, and he won't be able to get a long-term deal ever again. So I think he needs to know. We need more information before we can actually answer these kind of questions.
I think what would screw him in that case is if he gets hurt again next year, he's not going to get along. Like, he's going to want some form of security. Like, even if it's a 4-year deal with opt-outs, if he gets hurt in year 1 or year 2, it's like, all right, at least you have 4 years and $250 million that you can take to the bank. But it's like, again, not that 75 million or 70 million, whatever it is anything to scoff at, but it's like, he might not be getting a big contract if he goes out and gets hurt again next year, or is shelled for the first couple of months of next season.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Like, with the CBA, you might not be able to give out that 6-year deal or that 4-year deal with the opt out. That might not even be a thing. Like,
pay him before it expires on December 1st.
Yeah,
like that's the other thing. Like free agency starts after the World Series. You can pay him until things, if we get into a lockdown or it's agreed to on whether it's November 30th or December 1st. I know that was the date last time, but pay him before the CBA expires. And the Dodgers are great at exploiting loopholes, and people get upset at them. But it's like, every team has the ability to do it. The Dodgers are the only team that have the balls to actually do it, and an owner that is willing to pay. And so as we're all fans of a team that is a big market team, and I'm more so jealous that they are willing. That's why I don't hate them, because I'm more so jealous that they are willing to operate like that, and no other big market team is. The Mets are, they just haven't been good enough, so people haven't really pointed that out. But it's like, yeah, I wish my big market team operated that way. I'd love it. I'd love to pay great players, because that's what the sport is about.
Yeah, if there's any team that I see Skubal going to on a short-term deal like that, it is the Dodgers. It is going, mainly the Dodgers, because he's too good for the Mets. He makes too much sense for the Mets, right? But for the Dodgers, man, it's just like exactly what you guys are saying. It's like this is his first real significant injury in recent years since his first Cy Young. I want to see how he comes back from it before I can make any predictions as to what he's going to get. But it is something to be worried about, and I'm sure that that'll play into his contract talks, obviously.
Now, if this was 2011 or any time before that, the Red Sox would certainly be in the market for that type of deal. But
Yep.
I know we talk about the Eovaldi and Sale deals being the cutoff for big market deals. I still feel like there's something in the back of their head from Gonzalez and Crawford. Even though Gonzalez was great in his year and a half here, I feel like that was kind of the point where it's like, you gave the deals to Sandoval and Ramirez going into 15, but those neither were over $100 million. I really think pre-2011, the Red Sox would be right there in the conversation for Skubal. But now that's such an afterthought, and it's hilarious to even suggest it.
Yeah, there's no way they go after Skubal. There's no way they go after this guy.
No shot.
I do think if there's a chance that Skubal comes back, because it's only 2 to 3 months, it doesn't seem like there's any chance he'll miss the entire season. I think if Skubal comes back in like August and dominates, he might still get that $500 million contract and just get the big 10 years, 450, 500 million, and that's all he takes. I mean,
that's the big if. He would rather have that, obviously. I think
so. I do. Yeah. Now I don't know if the Dodgers give him that contract. That might be a Mets thing. Do the Dodgers want to tie up 500, 450 million, whatever it turns out?
Their payroll might be $1 billion if they do that.
They'll just defer it from 20 years from now. He'll make league minimum.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, Tarek Skubal, that'll be a hot commodity later on, but it just sucks at the top three. Have you guys seen that the top three from last year's American League Cy Young of all on the IL? Obviously, Garrett Crochet is one of them, and Hunter Brown as well. It's very unfortunate that we're missing out on a lot of great pitchers. You want to see the best pitchers play or the best players play, obviously. So it just sucks. It's wide open race in the AL Cy Young race. It looks like our favorite guy, Cam Schlittler, is the favorite at the moment. I don't think that'll be the case when it gets down to it. I'm surprised it's not Jose Soriano as well. I would think he would be the favorite.
I personally think it's going to be Fried. I think that he's been in the league so long, and he's probably sometimes it turns into a legacy thing, and he's pitched well enough. We'll see what ends up happening, obviously, but pitching on the best team in the league, and maybe those two guys for the Yankees take votes away from each other. And not saying that one wouldn't win, but it's like that's always tough with the ballot too. It's like you have two guys at the top of contention. It's like one will take first place votes away from the other.
It's crazy that like the Yankees have two of the top current three Cy Young finalists of the season were to end now, and they still have Rodon and Cole coming back. It's scary to talk about.
Well, that's what I keep saying about Tolle. Tolle is the Red Sox best chance to get back into that arms race in terms of a guy like Schlittler. Yep. Tolle it represents the Red Sox best chance in terms of developing a guy that has similar stuff and a similar profile. So hopefully he can keep going on the track that he's on.
So the Yankees have 3 of the top 11 qualified ERA guys, and Schlittler is number 3. Warren and Fried are tied at 11. So
Warren's such a dog.
They are so good.
Warren's not even going to make their postseason rotation. That's what's crazy. It's like Cole is going to be back, and so is Rodon. And your top 4 in the postseason is going to be, in no order, is going to be Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler. And obviously, Schlittler will be, he will not be their 4th starter. But my point being, those will be their 4 starters. And it's like, those are the arms that you need to win a World Series. And the Dodgers have shown that. The Yankees have shown that, obviously haven't won one yet. But it's like, they have the arms to go do it. And the Red Sox had so much pitching depth that they've traded away the last couple of years. And it's like, they have Tolle and early, but who else?
And it helps the Yankees had the offense to back it up too. Something that the Red Sox, that were built on starting pitching, which hasn't proven itself yet, offense is non-existent.
Yeah, but yet again, we only fired our offensive staff. The pitching staff could stay.
If you look at the ERA in the American League, like the leaders, the only other pitcher that's not a Yankee that could realistically, if you look at the names besides Jose Soriano, guys that are not going to fall off, that could realistically work their way into that top in that Cy Young race is George Kirby. And that's really it.
Yeah. Kirby's
Michael Wacha's not winning a Cy Young. Seth Lugo's not winning a Cy Young. Jose Soriano, I think he has his stuff, but he's not going to last the season. And then Nick Martinez, he's not winning a Cy Young. That's the competition this early in the season. That's bad. Cam Schlittler might walk. Max Fried might walk to a Cy Young.
Hey, don't sleep on Davis Martin.
Yeah, I am sleeping on him.
This is why we need Skubal back. I want to see him win 3. If it's not going to be Crochet, I want to see him win 3 straight Cy Youngs. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, he's going to miss too much time. But
I know.
yeah, you want to get into tomorrow's game preview with Framber Valdez, a guy we just saw, and then we could kind of end it like that.
Yeah, one name I do want to throw out in that Cy Young conversation, just because
Okay.
the strikeouts is Cease. I know his ERA is just above 3 right now, but if Toronto gets things going and they end up challenging New York for the division, that's going to be another guy who could potentially take it.
Yeah, I know. Cease always has the strikeouts. The ERA is always going to be a little bit higher for some reason for him.
Correct. Yeah.
Gavin Williams is a guy that has it's starting to become like in that tier of a pitcher. He's kind of working his way up to as in more of a top of the rotation arm. That I don't think he will, but I think he could be a down ballot kind of guy. But yeah. Really, realistically, it's going to be a Yankee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should get into tomorrow's game. It's Framber Valdez versus Giovanni Moran. Kind of a opposite of today's game. The Tigers have the horse on the mound, the big lefty that's going to go out and eat innings, and the Red Sox are going to have the bullpen game. I'm not optimistic anytime that Brian Bayo is going to be the bulk guy, but let's just get some predictions from you guys.
Sure. So last time Valdez pitched against the Tigers on against the Red Sox on April 19th. He pitched very well in that game. That was at Fenway. He pitched 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 7. I think he does more of the same. The Red Sox don't hit well against lefties, and I think the Tigers bounce back and even the series.
I'm in the same boat. Anytime you have Bayo on the mound, it's like a toss up at best. And then now you're going against Valdez, and we saw what Valdez can do against this lineup. And, if we strike out just 7 times against Valdez tomorrow, I'd almost consider that alone to be a win. But we will absolutely see. I don't have high hopes for tomorrow. Maybe Bayo might have that pressure off not starting the game, and maybe he can go out and ball out and be that Bayo that we all hope. Do I believe in that as I say that out loud? No, but one can hope. I just don't see tomorrow going well for the Red Sox. But again, attack early with Valdez, work the count, get to that bullpen. Like I already mentioned, that bullpen is already taxed from almost 2 straight days of bullpen usage. Get to the bullpen early and make them work.
I guess I'll be the positive one here, kind of. So I'm going to give a bold prediction. I'm going to say Roman Anthony heads to the IL tomorrow. Nate Eaton is called up and hits a big 3-run home run, and the Red Sox win.
Wow.
So Nate Eaton comes up against the lefty. They finally get a guy up here and make a move for a guy who could hit a lefty, and he makes a difference. So the Red Sox win tomorrow is my prediction.
I can't wait to clip that, and then when he actually does hit that 3-run homer tomorrow, we can just use this on all socials. That's gonna be really cool.
One can dream.
Are they gonna play if he doesn't go IL? Do they play a man short tomorrow, or you think they make a move no matter what?
No, they'll play a man short because they're not going to IL him if he's not going to go on the IL.
I agree. If he's going to be back in 3 days, then I'll IL him. But they might retroactive him later. I don't know.
Anytime you're seeing a hand specialist, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see an IL from Roman. Obviously, this is all speculation at this point, but for me, I would believe that we do call someone up.
I do think there'll be a move. I mean, we got a move today that no one really talked about. He didn't make an appearance, but Danny Coulomb gone with an injury that no one really heard of before.
And Sandoval to the 60-day IL.
Yeah, we're never going to see him for the Red Sox. Listen, Alec Mboa was called up. And his contract was selected to the 40-man roster. So maybe we'll see him soon make his Red Sox debut. Another guy added to the roster. But yes, we haven't had a offensive roster move yet. I think we'll have our first one tomorrow.
Yep.
Let's see it.
You guys have any final thoughts from today's game? I know it's the first win in a while. It's fun to get on here and actually talk about one, but I don't have anything else.
Just a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and ride the win into tomorrow and use that against Valdez, and let's go out there and attack.
Yeah, glad to see Jarren keep it rolling.
All right, with that, guys, thank you guys for watching. This episode will be uploaded to Spotify and Apple Podcast along with YouTube and Twitter. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow after the final out of the game, and thank you for watching.